Tonight on the Mac to the Future livecast, after a week off, David and I are here to talk about stuff. Will the iPad get better mouse support in the next version of the iPadOS? Apple stockholders would be ill-advised to sell off their Apple stock in a depressed market, but Apple is more than happy to buy it back. Lastly, what conferences will be spared cancellation with everyone all freaked out about a certain nameless flu-like disease? All of that, I don't know why I'm laughing, tonight and more on the Mac to the Future livecast. Go. Hello, everybody. It is so good to see you again. I am back from the wilds of Florida. Unfortunately, Warren is off in the wilds of Aruba. And I'm wishing I was kind of in Aruba myself, but I'm not. And neither is David Ginsburg. Hello, Mr. Ginsburg. How are you tonight, sir?
No, I'm not. I am back live here. I was off last week as well.
But you guys didn't do a show?
Personal stuff. We did a show on Thursday, but
okay.
I was busy on Wednesday. Yeah, so that kind of put the kibosh on me doing anything on Wednesday. So, yes, but I'm back. Glad to be here. Glad to talk about stuff. And
we got stuff to talk about. Real quick. Yeah. Apologize for there not being a show last week, but on the very next morning, I was jetting off to Fort Lauderdale. We were having a reunion for a former band teacher from my high school who was just turning 90. And so they had like a surprise surprise party for him, but a very, very low key surprise party, because you don't want to give someone who's 90 years old too many surprises. That's just not a good thing. But he was happy to see everyone. And he looks to be in great shape. If you go on over to my Facebook page, you can see some pictures of all the stuff that we did there. The flight down was a nonstop flight, JetBlue, which is kind of my airline of choice these days. And, it took about 2.5 hours to get down to Fort Lauderdale from the DC area. And then it took me nearly 3 hours to get out of the Fort Lauderdale airport. There were lines. I mean, basically where we landed. Now, I grew up in that area. When I was a kid, there was like one terminal. You walked out the door onto the tarmac and straight up the ass end of a 727. And, then you took off into the air. And that was the whole experience. No, now they have like 4 terminals. And when I got off the plane,
It's a big airport. I've been there many times.
Okay. Well, I got off the plane. I had my bag in like 15 minutes and I'm thinking, okay, cause it's now just a little after 3 o'clock. And I'm thinking I'm going to beat the rush hour traffic cause I had to get up to Palm Beach. But no, I had to take a shuttle bus from that terminal to the rental car place. And there was a line of over 100 people waiting to get onto the bus to get a rental car. And there was a separate bus that was going to Terminal 1, which is like right across from the rent-a-car place. And I'm looking at this long line of people, and I told one of the guys that worked there, I said, you know what, I'm just going to get on the bus for Terminal 1, and then I'll just walk over. And so I did. And then the next thing I know, he comes over and starts talking to the driver on the bus. And then the bus driver comes and says, yeah, we're going to make a stop at the rental car place, and we're going to take some of these people that have been waiting. And they just like filled the bus up with all these people that had been waiting in line. And I mean, and it's like, I realized that I'm from out of town, but it really shouldn't take someone who hasn't been to the Fort Lauderdale airport in like over 20 years to be able to see that when you have a separate little building for rent-a-cars and it's right next to one of your terminals, just use that bus too. You know, it's not that hard to figure out. And then budget had me wait in line for almost an hour just to get a piece of paper that said I was entitled to have a car. I already had a reservation. And then it was like almost another hour before they could hand me keys to a car that had CarPlay. And it's unless I wanted a minivan, I could have gotten a
wanted to make
minivan
sure
right
you had
away.
CarPlay.
Damn right. You know, I mean, I know the area pretty well, but I wanted to have CarPlay in the car, and I don't think that's an unreasonable request.
No.
So
that's why I have preferred status with budget and with Avis and Hertz, because then all I gotta do is
they
walk
had a separate
get
counter.
to my car and go.
Yeah,
Right,
they had a
that's how I
separate
do it.
counter for those people.
It's only way to go. Only way to go when you rent a car.
But I don't travel enough.
I can't stand
to
You
throw
don't have
my
to.
name
You
out
could-
there for like yet another. I don't know. I'm in so many freaking databases at this point. You know, I sit here in this room and I say, you know what? I think I might go to Florida. Next thing I know, I start getting dings from all these different websites going, "Oh, we've heard you're going to go to Florida." And it's like, no, I don't want to be one of those guys.
Thank Facebook for that.
Yeah. Well, then of course, by the time I finally got out of the airport, it took me like 2.5 hours to get up to Palm Beach, and
That's crazy.
you know, and it was. But I mean, overall, I'm sitting here complaining about being in South Florida in the wintertime when everyone else is freezing their ass off. So I'm, you know, I'm complaining about certain sets of circumstances as compared to, you know, just complaining in general. But Friday night we went to the Funky Buddha in Oakland Park, which is a brewery, and met up with some people there that I'd gone to high school with. That was a blast. So thank you to Sandra and Tim and Bob for showing up at the Funky Buddha. Really, really appreciate it. My brother and I were there.
Funky Buddha.
The Funky Buddha, 38th Street, or what do they call it now? I can't remember what they call it now, but it's basically 38th Street and Dixie Highway. Then, of course, Saturday was the party for Mr. J. Sunday, I drove up to see my brother Bill and one of his kids up in the Daytona area. So that was like a 3-hour drive up and a 3-hour drive
just
back.
Traveling everywhere in Florida.
Yes, I was. And then Friday, I did Monday, I did my standard, you know, visit where all the schools that I went to were. And then I still have one neighbor in my old neighborhood that is still there. She's been in that house since 1972. That's when they bought that house. Wow. She's still in that house. So that's what, 40 years, almost 50 years.
At least. Yeah.
That she's been in that house. And anytime I'm in the South Florida area, I always stop by to see her, Pat Jolly. And I was friends with her son, Byron. He was a couple years older than me, but yeah, we were pretty good friends. Byron Quirk is his name. Well, I guess enough about Florida.
Frank's got a new podcast for you, Guys Daily Flight.
Yeah. Believe me, I have no intention of being I hate flying. I hate flying with a passion. I never want to be.
That legroom isn't very good. Ideal for you.
Well, I was able to get exit row on both the way down and the way up. So not too bad. And JetBlue, and here's the thing. It cost me probably $100 more. I know I was going to get off this, but here I go again. It cost me about $100 more to fly JetBlue down to South Florida. Now, what that $100 got me was nonstop flights, so I didn't have to lay over for an hour to 3 hours in Chicago or LaGuardia or Charlotte or Atlanta or wherever, and one bag free, so I didn't have to pay a baggage fee, and that's $25 to $50 depending on what airline you use. What else? And the seats are bigger. Even if I hadn't been able to get an exit row seat, JetBlue, of all the airlines I've flown over the last few years, they have the biggest seats.
No, JetBlue rocks.
Yep. JetBlue is an awesome, awesome airline. And it was worth the extra $100 each way. It was $100, actually not each way. It was $100 in total for a round trip over what other airlines would have cost. So that's what
right.
we got there. So you want to start
Quick
talking about
takes.
some Apple stuff?
Quick takes, man. Let's do it.
All right, quick takes. China has Apple remove the Plague app from the iOS store. Now, have you ever played this game, Dave? Actually,
No,
didn't you guys talk about this last week on In Touch? Okay.
No.
What it basically is, this is a game where you have to kill the entire population of the Earth with a plague.
Oh.
And as mankind goes through the motions of trying to counter, and there's no guarantee that you as a plague will manage to kill everyone. They may figure you out, and next thing you know, you're eradicated. So that's the goal, is to kill all living things on the planet. And if you manage to do that, you win. So anyway, China apparently doesn't have a sense of humor about these things. And they've had Apple remove the Plague app from the iOS store. So, and you've never seen this game before?
I have never played it. I just brought it up here, and I'll have to check it out.
It's truly. I mean, if you don't put it in context with what's going on right now, it's actually a fun game. The problem is if you play it right now and somebody sees you playing, oh, what's that? Says, oh, what's this game where I try to kill everyone with a disease? You know, they may just kind of, scoot away from you on the bench and say, okay, I don't want to have anything to do with you.
You can unlock a parasite for 99 cents, or you can unlock all genes for $7.99. So
sure, yeah, because in-app purchases for Earth-ending plagues. All right.
That's right.
Speaking of actual plagues, Apple is sending care packages, including food, medical supplies, and an iPad to stranded employees in the most affected areas so far in China. So as things start to hopefully try to, start to come back to normal there in China, the people that are still stranded in the worst areas will get some stuff, hopefully, if they can have stuff delivered to them from Apple. So that was a nice thing.
Looks like they sent not only stuff, food, sanitizer, and every along with that, they sent iPads.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. So if they didn't already have one, but it's still, even if you already have one, it's a free iPad. And all you have to do is live in a area with lots of disease. Okay. Amazon Prime. Yeah, they don't care. They'll deliver. They got people that will deliver. It could be a Holocaust outside, and you'd still see those, armored Amazon Prime trucks moving through the rubble of what's left of Western civilization. Did somebody order some Stay Fresh dinner menus? I got them. They're right here. What, hand sanitizer? No, we don't have any. We don't have any hand sanitizer.
Good luck to
masks.
find it.
Yeah, good luck. All right, on to the main stories, Dave.
Yes.
iPad and the Franken trackpad. That is the first story I've got here from Gearbrain. According to some analysts based on... I actually love the way I put this together. According to some analysts on alleged good insider reports based on disgruntled Chinese employees, the next smart keyboard for the iPad will feature a trackpad that some are saying is a renewed interest in turning the iPad into a real laptop replacement. If true, this contradicts the whole Mac moving to the ARM processor, as there would already be a desktop-ish ARM computer from Apple in the form of an iPad. So tell me, what do you think, Dave?
Well, I think this is pretty awesome, because a lot of what's been out there is back when I was at CES back in January, I saw Bridge introduced a keyboard with the touchpad. So obviously they knew something that we didn't know, the fact that Apple is really trying to design this iPad as a full-fledged computer. And I did talk about this on the Daily Tech News Show and said that I think we're really close, and the iPad can be the next computer. We didn't do the story, but there was a leak of some of the features that may be in iOS 14, and some of it is going to be more mouse supports.
Right.
More mouse support than there is now, because in iOS 13 it's buried deep in accessibility.
And it's this big round kind of ball thing, and it's nice that it's there, but it's not really mouse support to I mean, when they first started talking about it, when iOS 13 came out, you had a lot of people that were like, "Whoa, dude, we're finally getting mouse support in the iPad." And it's like, well, you can do some things with it. Other things just aren't going to work. But to me, this is like almost like a nail in the coffin of ARM-based Macs. And again, we kind of talked about this last week. I just don't see the point in moving the Mac to Intel when the Mac Pro was just released, and that's for at least a couple of iterations has to stay Intel, because otherwise they've wasted their entire investment in creating it. So if you have your most powerful Mac that has to stay Intel for at least 1 to 2 years, and you don't want to split the platform between ARM and PowerPC. I'm sorry, PowerPC. Wow. Between ARM and Intel. Yeah, right. I know that. Then it just seems like, because every single time Apple has made this transition, when they went from 68K to PowerPC or PowerPC to Intel, they pretty much wrapped up the whole product line within a year. And, everything went from the one processor to the next processor. And there wasn't a whole lot of time wasted in between, because the problem is, if people know that you're in the process of moving to a new architecture, well, whatever it is that you make that has the old architecture, for the most part, isn't going to sell. Why would you buy into old architecture that within a year and a half on the outset is going to be no more? That all development going forward with software and the operating system is going to go to the new architecture.
Yeah, I mean, it happened when PowerPC was around, and then like Frank mentioned in the chat room, there were several versions that were running on PowerPC and Intel, but then it slowly went away.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, what did they call that? It was
Rosetta.
Yeah. But that was, Frank, in my opinion, that was mostly to placate developers who needed more time to make the switch between PowerPC and Intel. And I'm mostly talking about the hardware. The hardware was all switched over within a year, where you could no longer buy a brand new PowerPC machine. And prior to that, once they went from the 68K to PowerPC, you could no longer buy a brand new, other than existing stock, a brand new 68K whatever, but that everything else had already gone to PowerPC. And if Apple does make the switch of moving the Mac to ARM or to some other processor, within a year and a half on the outset, you're not going to be able to find brand new Intel-based Macs or Intel-based machines of any kind that Apple sells.
Yeah, I'm still on the fence.
If that was true.
Yeah, I'm still on the fence with that.
I don't think it's going to happen now. I think that what's going to happen is they're going to add, and it was part of the reason, in my opinion, and of course, this is all opinion, why they made the switch from having the iPad running iOS to giving it's an offshoot of iOS, but it's still different with the iPadOS. And I think it's because they want to introduce features in the iPadOS that wouldn't make any sense at all for phones, for a smaller screen tablet or a smaller screen device. And this is the way that they do it. So you've got a 9.7 to 12.9 inch screen with an operating system that's going to incorporate more Mac-like features. I think the Finder is going to get better in iPadOS. Instead of just being Find, it's going to be more like the Finder.
Right. Other thing too with as I mentioned, the leaked code of iOS 14, 9.5 Mac had it. With the iPad Pro, they're saying that there's going to be probably a triple lens camera array, just like the iPhone 11 Pros have. On
the back of it.
On the back of it, yeah, and it would include a time of flight 3D sensor, a wide angle lens, and an ultra wide angle lens, and a telephoto lens. So they're really thinking that they're really going to expand on the lenses with the camera. The rest of the stuff, nothing's been mentioned yet, but about as far as what iOS 14 is going to have, or iPadOS 14. But like I said, I think the biggest thing with this article talking about the mouse support, I definitely see Apple going to be looking to expand into the touchpad arena and giving full out fledged support to this touchpad, because you know that they're pushing to get this device in everybody's hands to be a full-time device. So, and Microsoft is there first with the Surface, but the difference between the Surface and the iPad Windows
is that all of the software that's been written for the Surface is based on desktop applications.
Right.
So when you have to add touch support to a desktop application, it's kind of like, oh, all right, well, we'll kind of throw this in and we'll kind of throw that in, but it's kind of, for the most part, it's half baked, and a lot of it depends on what developers do with it. But with iPadOS applications, touch is already built in. So it's just a matter of adapting the touch interface to mouse support. And I think going in that direction would be much easier than trying to go in the other direction.
Yeah, and Microsoft's making major strides with Office and adding more and more features every day. And touch is just one of the things that they're making it even easier, even on the Windows side. Touch works just as well as it does using a mouse.
Right, for Microsoft applications, but there's a lot of mainstream Windows applications that the developers just aren't interested.
Yeah. Well, they're going to have to become interested. So anyway,
eventually, yeah. I guess it's going to depend on whether or not small tablet devices with a touch interface is the wave of the future, and I'm not necessarily believing that that's the future of computing. Should we go on to the next one? The next story.
Let's do it.
Apple buying back billions in stock. Apple is buying back a lot of its own shares as it lays depressed due to the effects of the coronavirus on most of the stock market. Panic sellers with no sense on just how strong the company is are throwing caution to the wind and dumping the stock, which Apple is more than happy to scoop up at reduced prices. It was a couple of years ago when all we kept hearing when Apple would have their quarterly results is how much cash money, profit, just pure profit, throwing
billions,
everything else out the window, whether it's new facilities or because, they had no debt and they were raking in all this cash. And once you throw out operating expenses and R&D and however much you need for the day-to-day operations of the company, they were just banking all of this cash. And now when they can, and when it makes sense to do so, they're buying back their own stock, and in the process, making that stock even more valuable, because that, something that has, billions upon billions upon billions out there isn't going to be, it's not like it's rare, but if the company starts buying back its own shares and is able to do so because of the sheer amounts of money that they've made over the last 20 years, then, it's kind of like maybe this is a company that you should be investing in. Why these people are panicking the way they are and selling off their stock, I don't get it. It's like, the market is down because of the coronavirus, but Apple can literally, if Apple didn't have another product to sell for the next 5 years, they would still have more than enough money at their current spend rate to keep going.
Yeah, to weather the storm. Well, I mean, the stock went all the way down to about $255 a share, which was insane.
It's like $100 off a share.
Yeah, because it was at $325 at its 52-week high. I mean, today it's at $275, but that's also $10 down, almost $10 down to today's market because the market was way down. But I'm holding steady. I'm happy. I'm definitely pleased to keep my stock in Apple. I mean, I just the experts just are looking at seeing it's going to be about $320 now. So it's coming down a little bit. But you know what? It's the stock market. People just react, like you said, crazy, and just dump stock everywhere, and everybody's down. And
it's a crapshoot, the whole
401ks are way down. I mean,
and this too shall pass as soon as this nonsense with the coronavirus is done, and again, so far this hasn't been as bad as other flu-like diseases that have spread over the last 20 years. Certainly SARS was at this stage, I think, a higher infection rate and a higher death rate. The thing that makes corona, and I could have those completely wrong, of course. The thing about the coronavirus is just how infectious it seems to be and how quickly it seems to spread amongst the population, and the fact that you don't necessarily show any symptoms until you're well into the stages where you can infect other people. So that's the scary part of it. But it doesn't seem to be any more deadly than other forms of influenza. Yep. So everyone just chill the F out. Really.
Chill.
And here's the other thing. All you people running around with masks on your face, don't. You're not helping yourself. It's not making any difference. Don't do it. Wash your hands. Keep your hands clean. Try to keep out of other. If you feel a sneeze coming on, cover your face. Don't sneeze on a bunch of people. This is all just common sense. Go to any website that will tell you how to avoid getting the flu. Exactly. Outside of inoculations, of course, which isn't going to help you yet. With what's going on here, just relax.
Relax, people. Relax.
It's not a death
sentence.
The
press. It's the press making a big deal out of this.
Yeah. Let's see. SARS went away during the summer, but returned 10x in the winter. Yeah. I mean, this is probably going to be around for a while, and the problem right now is everyone is freaking out about it. So of course the press is talking about it nonstop, which means you have lots more people freaking out about it.
Yeah.
Could it possibly be bad? Yes. If you have a compromised immune system, it could be very, very dangerous for you. But for probably most of the other people out there, it'll be like a really bad cold.
Yeah.
And, and we're not trying to make light of it. And we're not trying to say, to everyone who's already been sick or even those who have lost loved ones that we're telling people to take it lightly. We're just saying it's already out there. There is very little that they can do now to prevent it from spreading. There's almost nothing that they can do now to prevent it from spreading. So unless you're part of the population with a depressed immune system, just relax. Take it easy. Don't rush out.
Take it easy.
And get gallons of hand sanitizer and toilet paper and cases of bottled water.
Costco, and it was just
ridiculous. God. I was at a Costco 2 weeks ago, and there were people that were buying 4 to 8 cases of water. It's like, you're not going to get the coronavirus from drinking water from the tap. That's not how it works. Civilization isn't going to, and if civilization was going to fall because of the coronavirus, do you think your 6 cases of water, along with all your frozen pizzas, are going to make that much of a difference?
Yeah, crazy.
Okay.
Before we go to the next story,
go ahead.
I want to, because we can get off this for a minute.
Please.
There was a story about Apple's the Impossible Whopper could stop it. Yeah,
sorry.
Stop anything. That was Frank. All right, I got to get off this right away. There was a $500 million settlement with Apple, the lawsuit to settle the throttling issue, and I thought it was okay, but I think it's kind of, if you really think about it, I think this is just a waste of time. Honestly, I mean, Apple was straightforward to the fact that they had to do it because the battery life was poor on these older phones, the 6 and the 7. Granted, they should have said something, but they did, and they corrected it. Apologized.
That was the whole issue, that they didn't really say anything until afterwards. But here's the thing: you're running the latest operating system on a 3 to 4 year old phone. Now you show me nearly any Android or whatever based phone that is running the latest operating system that's available for phones of that type, and I'll grant you that maybe Apple did something super, super bad, but you can't, because the number of phones that from 4 years ago that are Android based that will run the latest operating system, you could probably count on one hand.
Right. But I mean, to have to go through all this to get a measly $25 just to be satisfied that all these people put together this lawsuit to get that small amount of money.
But it all goes to the lawyers.
It's a waste of time. Well, don't even participate. That's what kind of irked me about this. I just don't see the reasoning why you need to even participate in this lawsuit. I mean,
that's stupid.
Don't bother. It's a waste of time, waste of money. I just wanted to speak my piece on that topic, because I think
I totally agree that this just smacks of ambulance chasing lawyers. And if you're a lawyer and you didn't participate, or you don't participate in lawsuits of this type, good, thank you. You're one of the good ones. However, going back to my trip to Florida, as I was going up and down Interstate 95, all I saw were, lawyer Jim got me $850,000, and it's like
personal injury.
Personal injury lawyers, and that seems to be like half the population or more of lawyers in South Florida. And anyone who is listening to this, please, if you know someone who is a personal injury lawyer in Florida, tell them that Guy Serle of Washington, D.C. says you suck. You are bottom feeding scum. Okay, are we good with that?
And I'll second that, because I worked for a personal injury attorney before 20 plus years ago, before I got into the job I have now. So it was brutal.
Yeah,
just
suck.
dealing with that business. Yeah, they're horrible.
And here's the other thing when it comes to these kiss ass pieces of crap, is that you get a judgment of $800,000. You're lucky if you get half of that. Plus, once that case is settled, you can no longer get any help from insurance companies, from whoever it was that may or may not have caused whatever your condition was that you were suing over, whether it was a big company or somebody hit you in your car or whatever. You're done. And once that money's gone, and about half of that will be gone in taxes, then it's up to you for the rest of your life to deal with it.
All right.
How do I really feel, Frank? That's how I feel. Ugh.
Let's talk about these canceled conferences.
Okay, canceled conferences. We're seeing it all over. I think South by Southwest has been canceled.
South by Southwest is done. And in fact, South by Southwest, national, the NAB just got announced today. But South by Southwest is an interesting thing. You know, the city of Austin forced their hand on that and told them they had to cancel. But
Really?
one thing that so one thing with that conference is the fact that they didn't have any insurance to protect them from cancellation. So they have, I'm sure they had, like, if it was like Act of God or something else, but not with this. So I'm not sure where that's going to go, if that's going to really affect financially that conference, because that's a lot of money.
Who runs that conference? Is there like a conference company that runs it and puts it together?
I believe it's an independent. I'm not sure. I can't quote on that without looking. So, but big time lost revenue.
Well, and not to mention all the hotels and
are going to be hurting. They're already we're talking about that today. I mean, but then I turn around and look at Vegas. You know, I'm planning on trying to go there next weekend. But I don't know. I'm questioning.
Chances are you won't have any trouble parking.
Yeah. But already a lot of some of the hotels have already closed up all their buffets. There's no buffets in Vegas right now, which is fine. I mean, I stopped eating there anyway, but then they have a construction conference going on with 140,000 people. That's going this week. So they didn't cancel that. So so it's just crazy with these conferences now. NAB, I don't think I ever remember that conference canceling. That's 130,000 people that show up for that, or 100,000.
Yeah.
Our friend Chuck Joyner goes there every year, so he's missed that out.
I've never been to NAB.
Nor have I. So it's
would love to.
Yeah, I was hoping that my next thing to be on my bucket list to do. So, well, yeah, let's not talk about bucket lists in regards to this.
Well,
that's okay.
Yeah, Derek is saying that he had a conference change from attending to a virtual. And for in a lot of ways, a lot of these conferences that don't require the hand-to-hand and meet and greet kind of stuff that you'll see between, and not just from consumers to various companies, but a lot of these companies rely on these conferences company to company, so that you'll have case makers wanting to talk to Apple about various things, and you'll have people creating next generation games and music and television and all the other outlying technologies that require on an infusion of not just people buying their stuff, and enthusiasm along that way, but for having new technologies to kind of push their mediums forward. And without the face-to-face, you can send all the emails you want, but unless you've got something in someone's face to show them, then they'll probably just throw it in their trash can.
Frank asked about the March Apple event, which was never officially announced, honestly. But Mac Rumors did say that it is canceled, so they're not doing it at all. So, and I think more so the reason of that is they're worried about their they announced these new products. Having product because they're dependent on China for production. So they may delay it a month or two, and I would bet. I mean, there's also talk of is worldwide WWDC. Is that gonna go on as scheduled? But that's in June. So they're sitting tight. They're sitting chilly on that one for a while.
Derek says no spectators for Mac games in Akron. Derek, is that where you live? Is in Akron, or that area?
Yeah, Ohio. There's no spectators at any of the NCAA had already announced today they're going to be having their first and second round games next week because the tourney gets the selections are on Saturday or Sunday and there's going to be nobody in any of the stadiums.
Well, except family and support
essential staff.
Yeah, essential staff. So the
no
only
fans.
people that what is that going to even look like? That pretty much takes away. Stadium. That takes away the hometown advantage. If you're a college basketball team and you kind of rely on the voices in the crowd to kind of pump you up, and all you've got is go baby, that's my son, blah 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 blah. It's okay, mom, thanks. But it's not going to be the same thing, as having 20 to 30 or 40,000 screaming fans, every single time your team does something good. So, that's pretty much, that's I don't know. It's going to be, all you're really going to hear is the sound of sneakers, basically, and the coaches yelling.
Well, I mean, and now Major League Baseball is trying to plan out to see if they can get teams to swap the dates, with to different locations that aren't hit as hard, like Seattle Mariners. They're not going to be able to play at home, so they're looking to swap it. Maybe they play in Arizona, where they play. I think they're playing the Texas Rangers when they start,
or whatever they call it.
Yeah, or they could play. Yeah, where they could play down there wherever. But I mean, the same thing's happening in that sport. So I mean, it's affecting everything. So as far as Apple goes, it's definitely, I think the production of the products that's where it's going to start affecting things. I mean, they already said that Apple stores have to be aware that there are going to be shortages of replacement iPhones when you go into the store to get a new phone, and when you bring it in, they may even give you a loaner while they wait to get the one to replace yours. So that's where it was with that as well. So
yeah, Derek, I lived in Akron for about 2 to 3 years, and Columbus for about a year. Just wanted to throw that in there when I saw the stuff about Ohio. I like that. Frank, he says the Rays will still have the same number of fans in attendance, which will be near zero.
Tropicana hump. Anyway.
Okay.
Don't choke. Don't choke.
Ooh, swallowed that down the wrong way.
We should talk about this.
Yeah, that is a conference that has not been canceled. As a matter of fact, he just put out the early bird announcement so that you can get early tickets to the MacStock Conference and Expo in Woodstock, Illinois. The last weekend, I think it's the 27th and 28th of July.
25th and 26th. Come on.
25th and 26th of July in Woodstock, Illinois. It's the last weekend of July. This is going to be year 6 for MacStock, and each year it's just gotten better and better with more and more people. I'm expecting all kinds of fun and thrills and excitement going into this year as we had in years past. And unless something really bad happens, I plan on being there. I haven't made any reservations yet because I've been kind of waiting to see, what announcements were going to come. Well, now the announcements are here and MacStock is on. So you don't want to miss it. If you go to MacStockConferenceandExpo.com or I think MacStock 2020 will get you there as well.
That hasn't been redirected yet. I just checked it.
Okay. So. Well, then MacStock 2019 will probably redirect you. As a matter of fact, since we're here and it's early, I'll just go MacStock2020.com and let's see what happens.
It'll be GoDaddy.
Well, I'm sure he has it. I'm sure he already has the domain.
Oh, he has it, but you're going to get GoDaddy.
Yeah, it's not doing anything.
2019 still it works.
Does that go to the latest?
Yes, it does. So, just go to MacStockConferenceandExpo.com. There's a register today button. You go on there. You got $70 off with early bird. He's got it open to everybody. So that's such a deal. $259 normally. It drops it down to $189 for a 2-day event like that. It's just a phenomenal deal.
And it really is. It's the best of the Mac community, as far as not just all the great speakers and all the the terrific presentations that's been there every single year since this conference is open, but just the camaraderie between all of the people that attend and the intermingling of the people that are giving presentations and the audience. I know Tim and I have done the MyMac game show for at least the last 2 years, maybe 3 years now.
That's 3.
And we always have a blast doing that show. And, pardon me, we're out there, we're meeting and greeting everyone. I'll have my podcasting table set up. I have no idea what equipment I'm going to bring this year. I keep saying I'm going to pare it down. And
pare it down. I can bring mine. You can use mine.
Okay. Sounds like a winner. All right. So I think, we'll just go to MacStockConferenceandExpo.com or MacStock2019.com, which will redirect you. And you can find out all the information that's currently available for the MacStock Conference and Expo. It's real close to Chicago, super easy to get to, lots of nice hotels in the area, great food, great people, great company. This is a 2-day conference that you don't want to miss. And I'm not just saying that. I've been pushing MacStock ever since it started, and
me too.
I haven't gotten a dime from it. This isn't a question of hey, corporate sponsorship. Yeah. But no, I just love this conference and I love going to it. Okay. Dave, if people wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do it?
Oh, yes. They can go listen and check out
Did you actually need that? Did you need that hint there?
I did.
Okay.
They can go out and listen to my podcast, In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. Warren's on vacation this week, so I'm hoping it was a surprise guest coming on this week if everything falls into place. As you know, Warren isn't here. So, yeah, we have a lot of fun. We've had a lot of great episodes. You might want to go out and check out. I did an episode on accessibility with Shelley Brisbane. It was a lot of fun, and she's just an amazing wealth of knowledge about accessibility. So check out that episode. And and then also I lead an Apple user group locally here in Chicago. The president of the Suburban Chicago Apple users. Have a lot of fun doing that. Just did an Apple iPhone special interest group meeting last night, and then we have our big main meeting this Saturday, and we're not scared. And then even though there's a lot of people, but there's not a lot of people. There's like 40, 50 people that come. So, but it's a lot of fun.
Compared to most user groups, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. And on Twitter, that's where I'm pretty active, is on DaveG65.
And you can find me. You can send me an email, guy@mymac.com. I have 2 different Twitter accounts. I have MacPedit, and I also have VertShark for them. But usually either one of those, you can reach me and see all the crazy crap that I talk about there. Besides the Mac to the Future Go livecast, I also do the MyMac.com podcast, going on longer than 10 years now. I've been doing that show. You can find out more information on that over at mymac.com. I do that with Mr. Gere Gazmaz Malpaz. Wow, that even rhymes. That was really good. You can, if you'd like to help support the things that I do and my current insanity-based collection of microphones that I keep buying, I don't know why. You can buy me a coffee at coffee.com/MacParrot. You can do that Patreon thing, patreon.com/MacParrot. And you can PayPal me, paypal.me/MacParrot. And I actually got somebody actually donated through PayPal. It was Christopher.
Nice.
Oh, I know I'm going to mess up his name, and I'm going to look it up.
Just leave it as first name. He probably doesn't want to be public.
Yeah, well, I can't blame him for that because, who would want to be publicly known for supporting someone like me? But I really, really do appreciate the fact of anyone who contributes. And I'm trying to think of ways that I could have some exclusive content for the people that do contribute. And nothing has really come to mind yet. I still have not finished, or actually really started, as far as voiceovers go. The Mac. Oh, darn it! The book I wrote. I am like just unprepared.
You wrote a book?
I wrote a book 10 years ago, and it's been available. It's on Amazon. The Maltese Cube. That's what it was. The Maltese Cube, a complete ripoff of the Maltese Falcon, with some Apple and Mac stuff thrown in. Steve Jobs gets beat up in the book. You can find that over on Amazon if you want a Dead Tree version. You can also get it for the Kindle, and I believe in the Apple's iBookstore. That's the Maltese Cube under my name, Guy Serle.
There it is.
Yeah.
You got 5 stars for everybody, too.
Well, at least for one person.
No, it says 4.
Well, okay. I'll take it. I actually have like 2 or 3 other books going, and I just haven't been able to find the time to and I don't know. Have you ever written long form stuff?
No, I'm not a writer.
The problem with writing something long form, whether it's a book or a really, really long magazine article, is if you don't do it for a while, you have to go back and reread the entire thing that you've done so far just to get caught back up. And usually that's where things fall apart for me, because I'll sit there, okay, I'm gonna get back to writing this, and then I read what I've done so far, and it's like, wow, I've done a lot. I'm tired now, and I just don't get back to it. But I will. I have two fiction books that I'm in the process of writing, and I also have a podcasting book that I will definitely need to update because so much has changed since I started it. But eventually I will get these books out. Maybe if I just stop doing so many darn podcasts. Nah, I'll keep doing podcasts too.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, it is so much fun. So Warren Sklar, of course, is over there on the Facebooks. Probably should mention that as well. Thank you. Thank you all.
Yes.
So why am I still here solo? I have totally lost my mind, Dave. There we go. Thank you all.
We knew that.
Well, it wasn't that far of a journey, frankly.
Yeah.
Thank you all for downloading, listening, and or watching the Mac to the Future Go livecast. We really, really do appreciate it. And we hope that we will see you next week right here on the Mac to the Future Go livecast. Say goodnight, Dave.
Good night, Dave.
Yeah. Is there more?
Bye.
No, that's it. Bye.